Sometimes you can watch these short little clips where it seems like people are just cranking out hit after hit, but is that actually the reality of how things work? When you see these clips, you can get this impression that lightning hits these people and just within like 10 minutes they put together an amazing song and have released it and are getting millions of streams in whatever streaming platform that they're using. And I think that those lightning moments can happen on occasion, but I don't think that that's the norm. At least it isn't for me. Almost everything has a small start, but it usually evolves over time. You initially get some little spark of inspiration, and then you have to revise it and work it and build on it and change it until it turns into something that you actually like. But then you have to go through the process of getting some outside feedback. And usually what happens is people can see things and hear things that you don't. So you have to take the song back and do another round of revisions and changes, but it helps make the song better in the long run. So I'm gonna walk you through the song, Feel the Breeze. I personally find it really helpful when I get to see somebody's process. And so I want to share that process with you of taking it from an idea all the way through a finished song so you can see all the different revisions and iterations it has to take to get to the final thing. So the spark started for me when I was listening to an artist. I had been listening a lot to an artist named Reailty, specifically his album Gossip in the Grain. And I had started honing in on these little details that I really liked out of his songs. And that's usually what starts it for me, is I'll hear something like the tone of a guitar or an instrument or a rhythm or something about the arrangement that I'm really attracted to. So I'll usually jump into my DAW and try to recreate the sound as best as I can. I'm not trying to get it perfect. I'm just usually trying to get in the ballpark so that I can figure out how to make the sound that I'm hearing on that record. So that's what I was doing here. I was working on putting together some softer tones of electric guitar just to create some texture and atmosphere, and then trying to recreate a slide guitar sound that I had heard in one of the songs as well. And I came up with a small section that sounded a little bit like this. So then I added in a bass line, some drums, and then I put in a rough vocal line to cover over that section, and it ended up sounding like this. And that's as far as I really got with it initially. And then it just sat in a folder with all these other partial pieces of songs that I'd started to put together but hadn't really done anything with. And every few months I'll come back to that folder and I'll listen through things, and when I would hear that clip I'd think, man, I like that, but I'm not sure where to go with it yet. And then at the end of the year last year, I decided to pull the clip out of that folder and be really intentional about trying to move this song forward. So I gave myself this basic assignment to come up with another chord progression that would make essentially a B section of this song. So the first section that I had already created, I thought was gonna be a chorus. So I wanted to try to come up with a progression that would be maybe a verse or something along those lines. Now that I had a chorus and a verse, I decided to lay out the arrangement, the structure of the song. And I kept it super simple and just went verse, chorus, chorus. No pre-choruses, no bridge, just kept it really, really simple. But I hadn't finished out the lyrics yet, so I knew that I needed to come up with the words for the verses and the choruses and all the other sections. And the process that I used was something that I learned from Chris Bradley from Produce Like a Boss. She does a lot of commercial work for vocals, and one of the things that she does is she'll take a piece of music that she's going to be recording vocals for, and she would listen to the piece of music and come up with the melody ideas that she thought would work, and she would be recording those melody ideas for her vocals along the way. And I adopted the same approach on this song. So I looped the chorus section, and then I would sit there with a pair of headphones in front of a microphone and record different melody ideas, like rhythms of how I think the words might fall into this section. And I edited that down until I felt like I had something that I liked for those different sections. So I was sitting with this chorus for a while, just listening to the melodies that I had come up with, and I finally got the story idea for the song of where I wanted it to go, what I wanted the theme to be about, and then how I was going to work the rest of the song around that. So I ended up being able to put in the words for the chorus, and then that helped me put together the words for the first verse. And I thought that the words for the second verse were okay, so I figured that I had basically a rough draft done of the song. But one of the things that I didn't like about the song was I felt like it was a little bit slow in terms of the overall pacing and tempo of the song. And I asked my wife, and she kind of felt the same way. So I decided to go back and rework the song. That means I went back and recorded all of the electric guitars and the vocals and the acoustic guitars and laid in the drums and the bass and all the other instruments that I'd already put together. I re-recorded all those at a faster tempo, and now I had a new draft at this faster tempo of the song. So I took the song to my wife, Erin, to ask her for some feedback about the lyrics, and she said that she really felt like the second verse was kind of disconnected from the rest of the song. She felt like there was a storyline between the first verse and the chorus, but that the same storyline didn't really translate to the second verse. So I went back and did some work on the lyrics to try to make sure that I connected the second verse back to the ideas of the chorus and the first verse to try to give a little bit more of a continuous story across the entire song. And then I went through the process of building out the arrangement more. So that means adding in more instrumentation, building the dynamics in certain sections of the song, taking certain things away from parts to just create the tension and release throughout the song to keep it interesting for the listener all the way through. And it's usually during this time that I hit what I call the messy middle. There is some point in almost every song that I put together where I start to hate the song entirely and I feel like I want to trash it and don't want to work on it anymore. But I've also done this enough times now to know that if I keep pressing through it and I keep working through those feelings, that I'll eventually get to a place where I like the song again. Not only do I like it, but I like it better. So I kept at this process of building the arrangement, taking things away, adding things in until I got a song that I really liked. And then I took all the tracks and I mixed those down, and then I mastered the song itself. And then once it was mastered, I used DistroKid to get it up on all the streaming platforms. This is not a promotion for them. This is just the service that I use. And it just made it really easy for me to go from a finished product to getting it out onto things like Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all the rest. And if you want me to do a video on how I do that process, just let me know in the comments below. And that's really how this song evolved. It wasn't some sort of straight line. It wasn't a lightning strike of inspiration. Then all of a sudden everything came to me within 10 minutes and I had a finished product. The process for me is usually long and ugly and goes through a lot of iterations before I actually like it again. When I started out, I didn't know what I was doing at all. And I wish that somebody would have taken me behind the scenes and shown me their process of how they take an idea and work it through all the problems to end up getting to the finished product. Again, it's easy to see these people putting together these 1 minute or 10-minute clips where it seems like they put together a fully produced song in this really short amount of time. But I don't think that that's the reality for most people. And I know it's not for me. And I wanted to encourage you not to give up even when you feel like maybe you're in the messy middle. You can do this. Don't give up. Keep going. And I'll see you in the next round.